And we are live. We're live here. Thanks for joining us in Texas and Louisiana on your TVs with Smart Money Culture TV, as well as streaming around the world on X and YouTube and all these other wonderful places where they allow us to stream this stuff. There's really, as it always is, there's a lot going on. We're winding up or winding down, I guess. We're not even winding down yet. We actually have a team from Arbius as well joining us. Really cool coin a little bit later using AI and machine learning, proof of work, all this stuff. That's going to be near the end of the show. So I'm super excited about that. But I hate to say winding down the week because it's just so much going on, especially here in Washington where I am and around the world. I know you're in Dublin. David, what is the temperature like over there in Europe?
Yes, we are winding up for the weekend, and we had some snow going on this morning, some nice light snow, maybe an inch or two. It's already starting to melt away and turn into rain, but it was beautiful to wake up to the white snow frost outside today. And we had a great protest about closing a road yesterday. No road closure. And we chanted that and got a nice photo op. So lots of fun stuff happening here in Ireland.
Well, don't get yourself in any trouble, but it would be kind of fun to have some reporting from the front lines, David.
Yeah. Well, maybe next time.
Yeah, maybe next time. Don't get yourself in any trouble, though. The last thing you want to do is end up in some Irish prison.
I'm a journalist. I'm a journalist. It can't be touched.
Oh man, that's funny. Well, there's we have of course the supreme robes. The SCOTUS is landing on their plate. Trump was just at the border as well. So Trump was just at the border yesterday. I have some footage of that. That's going to be, I think, pretty interesting. What comes out of it? He even had some people yelling for him.
Oh yeah,
he had fans. Trump.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a popular guy.
Absolutely. Nobody's done it like that. That's for sure.
He is. I mean, he's Trump. You know what I mean? It's like betting against the Bitcoin market or something. You know what I mean? Yeah, you better be careful. If you want to bet against the Bitcoin market, you better be careful because that is risky. So I'm lining up a Dubai trip as well, David. I think April, next month. We get back to Dubai.
Okay. Yeah.
Everybody wants to see this. Yeah,
great business flow in Dubai, and they really, stepped up and licensed a lot of Bitcoin companies and provided a lot of potential business being done there. So that sounds like a good idea.
There's a lot of potential business being done there. Let's just take a look here at Trump, and then I wanted to go over some of these. I wanted to go over some of the judges that everybody is thinking that are going to save us, because I want everybody to kind of take a decent look at this here. But hold on a second here. What was I doing? This was Trump border. Share my screen here. Trump at the border. Here he is right here. Here's part 2 of the Trump interview on Hannity. This is the interview. I don't need to see the interview here. There's some breaking. Donald Trump arrives at the Mexico border.
But a very dangerous border. Nice weather, beautiful day. but a very dangerous border. We're going to take care of it. Thank you. Do you have any legislation ideas for it? Thank you. Sir, thank you for doing it.
The country's going to heck, he says. So that was him arriving. Former President Trump arrives at the Del Rio airport for his visit to the border.
Nice weather, beautiful day.
Here he is here again. Another. This is where they're yelling Trump, I think. Here he is with Governor Abbott.
They like Trump. Could you believe it? They like the governor.
They like Trump. Here he is here.
This border, we're going to take care of it. Nice weather, beautiful day, but a very dangerous border.
Side by side with
Thank you.
I've been saying that Biden looks, his shuffle looks like the android or the robot, Elon's robot.
Oh yeah,
right. I mean, I'm not saying that he is a robot, but anyway.
Yeah, there's a lot of questionable images of Biden.
Just 1 week ago, a beautiful 22-year-old nursing student from Georgia was barbarically attacked, almost unrecognizable, while she was out on her morning run. She was a morning run. She was doing keep herself in shape. She was a beautiful young woman. She was a great person, best nursing student there was. I spoke to her parents yesterday. They're incredible people. They're devastated beyond belief. But she was beautiful, just so beautiful in so many ways, and brutally assaulted, horrifically beaten, kidnapped, and savagely murdered. The monster that charged in the death is an illegal alien migrant who was led into our country and released into our communities by crooked Joe Biden. He's crooked. I took the name away from Hillary because she's no longer relevant, I guess. She was terrible, but what he is doing is just unbelievable. Joe Biden will never say Laken Riley's name, but we will say it and we will remember it. We're not going to forget her. It's been just a horrible story that we've had to live with for the last few days. It's hard to believe. And her parents are just, they can never be the same.
It is absolutely horrible. Lots of video, of course. This guy's made for TV, let's face it. Here he is with Governor Abbott. Do you know what happened to Governor Abbott's legs?
No. Do you?
I mean, no. I don't know if it was always like that or not sure. Pretty interesting. There's not a lot of life in here. Here he is, of course, meeting the Texas National Guard.
All right, guys, let's go.
We have to reason, right? Look, we have to deport a lot of people, and they have to start immediately. People don't know that Dwight Eisenhower is a pretty tough president. I never thought of it as that, but 10 years ago, you start reading and you start really seeing, and he was a big deporter, and he would deport tremendous numbers of people, and they'd bring them just to the other side of the border, they'd come back. He'd bring them again, they'd come back. Then he brought them 2,000 miles back, and they didn't come back. We have no choice. And the way you do it is your local police. We have the greatest police. They don't get the respect that they have to get. They are treated so badly. They do something and they end up losing their pension, even if it's a good thing. If they stop crime nowadays, they lose their pension, their family, their house. And we're going to give immunity to police, and we're going to let the police do the job that they have to do. I think it's very important. They understand who these migrants are. They know them by their first name, their last name. They know where they come from. They know everything about. It's going to be the local police are going to turn them over, and we're going to have to move them back to their country.
They gotta go back. They gotta go back. I don't know. You know, it remains to be seen, of course, if she's really going to do anything like that. I mean, I really am not sure. I'm not confident that there's going to be this huge deportation force. Maybe.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like it's going to happen.
Right. Who is John G. Roberts of the Chief Justice of the United States Supreme Court? I could obviously do a real deep dive on these guys, but let's just look at who everybody is hoping is going to save us before we bring Matt Dixon on here. We're going to talk more about money. John G. Roberts, Chief Justice of the United States Supreme Court. He was born in Buffalo, New York, January 1955. He married Jane Sullivan in 96. 55 to 96. Okay. And they have two children. He went to Harvard, undergrad and law school. He serves as a law clerk for Judge Henry. There's a lot of talk about this guy, John Roberts Jr. Let me just here we go. And it might take more than one show to talk about these guys, but I want everyone to know part of the Black Eye Club. Oh wow, look at that. Google has pretty well scrubbed these images. Well, isn't that interesting? So do you remember him with the black eye? He had the big old black eye there for a while. So without going into too many details, there's kind of a rumored kind of I don't know thing that they have to do to get into these different societies. And black eye is one of the things. So then we have Clarence Thomas. The Clarence Thomas is largely seen as, the guy. Meet Clarence Thomas. He's the Associate Justice. And we're at 1318. Let's see here. So Clarence Thomas, I mean, this guy, like I said, he, oops, that's wrong link here. Trump at the border. Oh, I did this one. I did the wrong links here. I'm deleting now. Shoots. They were live, guys. We're live TV.
Yeah.
I was wondering why things weren't popping there. This is the one I want right here. So anyway, you can see we have Judge Clarence Thomas. He is largely kind of believed to be, the one of the guys for the, quote unquote conservatives, I guess you would say. Well, shoot, that kind of throws a wrench in my plans there. All right, I'll just kind of go over him, I guess. Samuel Alito. I'll go back to Clarence Thomas. He was born in Savannah, Georgia, 1948. On and on here. Samuel Alito. You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna do a little thing on these guys. I'm gonna do some better G2 on these guys, and then come back to them, especially because my tweets messed up and they put out the wrong link. And it's almost time to bring our friend Matt on. So we'll talk a little bit more about the markets here before we get to Matt. Bitcoin does seem a bit stalled out. It remains to be seen if that will last. Bitcoin stalls out a bit here. The great Elon Musk is open AI. That should be interesting. OpenAI, of course, it looks like their AI is out of control. Solana is on an absolute tear, up over 30% on the 7-day. Currently trading at 133. Bitcoin, just so strong. Bitcoin. Let's look at that. See what that's looking at right now. Bitcoin. This is the finance market. 62.71. Of course, the inflow of money there is just absolutely astounding. Really just big money. Dow futures are down slightly. Talk about stalling out. Kind of we're at all-time high areas. You know, I mean, obviously we pulled back a little bit, but if I take this to the weekly charts, or no, where's my all? Anyway, you can see here 2012. Anyway, I mean, that's not all-time, obviously. Max, this is what I want, max. So we are at all-time highs. And of course, with the dollar printing and everything out of control, it remains to be seen how that all play out. Let's bring on Matt. Matt Dixon, the great Matt Dixon. Matt, how are you?
Hi, good morning. Great to be back again. So yeah, interesting what you're saying about Bitcoin. It's all about supply and demand, isn't it?
Yep.
So I was playing around with some figures. We won't stay on this, but I'll need to share, won't I? But yeah, it's been really interesting thinking about what the current rewards are, the mining reward. Of course, every time you mine or validate a block of Bitcoin, a miner gets paid 6.25 Bitcoin at the moment. So obviously that's very attractive, but that's going to halve come April. So I'm trusting you can see my screen. I'll just jump straight onto this one, which we showed yesterday, first of all. I won't enlarge it because I'm only just going to touch on. It's very interesting. If you think about 6.25 Bitcoin and the average block time for Bitcoin is about 10 minutes. So that means each day there's round about, 6.25 and multiply that by, 10 minutes. Let's just have a quick look. On the old calculator. So 6.25 Bitcoin every 10 minutes. So how many are mined per day, Bruce? Get your maths head on.
You know what I found out, and that is that math and live TV is I'm thinking about.
Okay, well, basically, It means, just a quick calculation, it means that there's about 900 Bitcoins being mined every day at the moment. So think about 900 Bitcoins currently, and again, I'm just playing around here, 900 Bitcoins, and the value of each Bitcoin is $62,000. So 900 times 62,000. So what is going on? Dear me. 900.
It is hard. Math is hard on live TV. I'm really good at math, but on live
so
TV.
Anyway, that's 56 million approximately, somewhere around there. So
okay.
That's $56 million basically being mined every day.
Yep.
And then let's just think about how much was flowing into, and we'll just click very quickly again back on that. So yesterday, or a couple of days ago, the amount that going into the ETFs, the net amount was $576 million. So that means when we're thinking about supply and demand, there's 10 times more demand than the current supply of Bitcoin. That's amazing. absolutely mind-boggling when you think about it. So there's $56 million being created every day through Bitcoin mining, and there's 10 times that amount, literally more than 10 times that amount, actually coming into Bitcoin ETFs to buy new Bitcoin. So that means there's 10 times more demand than there is supply. And just think, in April, that's going to halve again. So instead of being 10 times, even if we carry on at current demand, that's going to be 20 times the demand for the actual supply of Bitcoin. So that tells you just a little bit about why Bitcoin's going crazy.
Yeah.
Supply and demand, that's what it's all about at the end of the day. So we'll just run through a few of those charts. We will look at Bitcoin, but S&P has actually behaved. I've taken a few of the markers off from yesterday, but it did behave as expected with that downturn that was expected. We got a bit of a push up yesterday, but we didn't go above the previous high there. So it looks as though we're potentially turning down again. We're not within a strict parallel channel. I've just thrown a parallel channel on there very, very roughly, but it's not a strict one at all. But there's every chance that we could push towards the bottom of that channel before we push higher, or we could push the top. We're right in the middle, so we're actually in no man's land. So for me, it's where I wouldn't really be looking to take a trade, and I'd look to see whether it goes to the top or bottom of the channel first before I decide where to go with my trade. But what we have seen, which is interesting, my next little chart is looking at dollar index. This is the value of the dollar against a basket of currencies. And again, that has actually stayed very well defined within this parallel channel. So, we bounced right off the bottom of the channel. I think that was possibly yesterday. And I've just, that channel is pretty well drawn with the overhead resistance and the underlying support here. So we bounced off it. You can draw your line in various places, but roughly around support, bounced off it quite strongly. So looking potentially as though dollar might strengthen, which would mean we might see downside on that previous S&P 500 chart that we saw here. We could see it touch the downside before we push higher. But let's jump on to Bitcoin. And again, we do see that, it can't go on forever. And when we looked at yesterday, and we looked at the fear and greed index, I absolutely love that chart. And as David said, it's a really simple indicator. And I think it's probably worth, I wasn't going to, but it's probably worth just touching on that very briefly again. This is it. I don't know whether I need to enlarge it. I can put it on a full screen. In fact, I probably will do, just so you can see it clearly. Anyway, play from current slide. Yeah, so you can really see clearly there. This is the fear and greed chart. Whenever there's red at the bottom, it's extreme fear in the markets. Whenever you're on the green areas, it's extreme greed. And the higher you are, the greedier people are feeling. And the lower, the more fearful people are feeling. So really at the low points, people are extremely fearful. Nobody's buying. People have sold. This is capitulation. People are scared stiff. And they just want to get rid of their assets, get rid of them at whatever price. And that's when the market is at rock bottom. And that's actually the time when people are capitulating. That is the time people should be buying. And when people are extremely exuberant and greedy in this market, that's when we see this extreme green area, the extreme greed, basically. And as I said, this is using the very latest technologies, using AI to identify, monitoring social media, not actually just numbers, but actually technology these days with this neuro-linguistic programming can actually even understand to some extent what people are tweeting and saying on social media, and they can interpret that into fear and greed. And at the end of the day, it's people that drive markets, it's people that decide to buy or sell, and it's people that are fearful or greedy. And right now we are at an extreme point of greed. We know it can go higher because it's been higher in the past. Even at the previous all-time high on Bitcoin, it was higher. So yes, Bitcoin can go higher, but these are the areas where we need to start thinking about, is this a safe area to be, to be fearful, to be in these markets, basically, to be buying in these markets. So going back to Bitcoin, we are at a point of extreme greed, but we can very clearly see here, we potentially had 3 waves down from the top of that little 5 there, and A, B, C. So potentially we could be pushing to to new highs yet again. We may not finish this final push up. It looks like we could have done, but when markets are in this situation, it's a bubble, and bubbles just can continue to grow. You never know when they're going to burst. It's just like a pinprick, and it'll burst all of a sudden. We don't know when it's going to be. It could go higher, as we said. The greed could get more extreme yet, and potentially we could go higher, or potentially something could burst that bubble. And it could be anything totally unforeseen, a black swan event like trouble kicking off in the Middle East. And we have seen problems, haven't we, with Israel now attacking really deeper and deeper into Lebanon, which eventually, they're going to push back more strongly. And Lebanon is not like the Palestinians and Hamas. They have a lot more weaponry, and this could really escalate into a much wider war. But Israel are pushing into, for their own protection, they're saying they're pushing into even places in Iraq, they're pushing into Syria, they're pushing into Lebanon, they're trying to execute the war in Gaza. So, potentially the bubble can burst, I'm saying. So whilst we're in that situation now of extreme greed in the markets, I'm just saying it's a time we need to be a little bit careful. But at the moment, there's supply and demand of what's driving the market. I mean, I'm amazed that Litecoin, which, it was predicted according to the charting analysis that we had this triangle formation. A triangle is basically a consolidation before we get a continuation of an upward move. And that's precisely what this was. We had an upward move, and then we get a sideways consolidation in this triangle. And all that is basically just treading water, taking up a bit of time in the markets until we're ready for that push higher. And that's precisely what's happened. We burst in a final terminal thrust from the triangle. And if this is indeed a triangle, this is a terminal thrust, because the triangle is a pre-terminal wave. So this thrust from the triangle is terminal. Not to say it's over, it can continue higher, but following that terminal thrust, there will be a turn down, which should take us substantially lower, even lower than the start of this triangle. So we are riding a wave right now in this thrust out the triangle, looking as though potentially wave 1 here, wave 2 down, with an ABC 2 down, potentially a wave 3 thrust higher, and potentially we may be chopping around in wave 4, so there may still be a bit higher to go. But I'm just saying we're nearing a potential turning point in the markets, and we're seeing that in different assets, even Solana potentially. Here's one of the favorites. I actually went to a Solana event last night. They've been doing amazingly well with their adoption, people building on Solana. The actual transactions per second are really high. It's an amazing blockchain, and we've seen that in the performance, where it came from $8 during the FTX crisis, and yesterday we hit $137, somewhere around there. So we're a little bit lower now. Potentially it can still push higher. I think that we probably should push higher. This potentially could be complete here as a wave 4. I've said that many times before, and we could be pushing up in this final wave 5. But if we are pushing up in a final wave 5, that is the end of this particular cycle, and we're then potentially going to push lower. So I do think that this bull cycle is maturing at the moment. It's getting towards maturity to completion. I think we'll see at least a temporary pullback. But at the moment, with the way we're seeing with Bitcoin, with supply demand, it's hard to see anything that can stop it. So it can only be some kind of black swan event, I think. And Ethereum, another one that's really been blasting higher than I expected, shall I say. I know some people have been expecting more, so they've been better than me in terms of their analysis of how high it's going. But potentially, I did predict a lot of upside here, and we've just gone a little bit beyond what I expected. Like the S&P 500, just going back to that, potentially that could have been the top here. We saw a very, very impulsive move to take us to new all-time highs. That could have been the top. It still can be the top. So, but it's actually impossible to say. As I say, there is no absolute certainty in trading. It's only a matter of probabilities. And the probabilities are that we are getting towards the end of this particular bull cycle, I believe. And we have enough problems there. There's enough worries about inflation in the US. And let's see, I think it's March 20th. So we're less than 3 weeks away now from the next rate decision. And that'll be really interesting to hear what they have to then say about stepping back from dropping rates, because that is potentially what the market is going to be crying out for in the near future, to lower rates, because we are beginning to see some pressures within the market. Yes, the US is one of the most resilient, but we've seen those charts over and over again. The ones like the employment chart, the unemployment chart, basically when unemployment is at all-time lows, that is just the time you're about to see recession and you're about to see a turn in the market. And then just finally, we'll have a quick little look at XRP. Again, it's very, very choppy. I really don't like it because we're seeing some impulsive kind of moves to the upside, but then we're seeing sharp moves back to the downside. It's all very, very overlapping. So I'm not overly confident. And I think with XRP, yes, it's one of those which can massively break out potentially. We can see with these candlesticks and shadows, the massive spikes in price, absolutely phenomenal spikes in price that you see with XRP. So if we see an upside spike, it could be massive. And you often see a blow-off spike in XRP. So maybe we'll see that and see a massive blow-off spike to the upside. That's entirely possible. But I don't think XRP is going to be one of the ETFs, certainly not in the near future. Next one on the agenda is potentially Ethereum, which we're still looking around May time, I think. And I think that's one of the reasons why we've seen Ethereum shining quite well recently. But look at Agix again, just below. That's another one of those AI tokens. Just look at the performance there, 20% today alone. Phenomenal. And again, we see it's really good, the Elliott wave look of it here. And ABC down, it's 3 waves down, telling us there was going to be more upside to exceed this high. So when we see a very nice clear 3-wave movement, we know that's just corrective. Corrective means against the trend. And so with the trend is still higher. We've seen that push higher above that previous high there. So there was a really good signal there, especially with that candlestick there that we saw, which is a very, very bullish candlestick. If we open it out, massively bullish with a massive tail to the downside. Basically, it failed to the downside and finished much higher. So that's quite a bullish kind of. It's not quite a hammer stick candle, but a hammer is a bullish candlestick. It's almost a hammer candlestick. I'd have preferred the body of the candle to be higher, to be a proper hammer, but it did tell us that there's going to be some upside to come, and that's exactly what's happened. So that's
AI coins are really popular, really going.
Yeah. So that's a nice little run through for today. It's still looking positive for the time being. As we've always said, don't bet against the trend. And I think the most interesting thing for today was just looking at how many Bitcoin are mined each day, how much that is, and the fact that it's only, and just don't forget as well, there's 21 million will be by the year 2020, by the year 2140. That's them. Right now, we have something like, I think, 19.6 million in supply. Don't forget, 3.7 million of those have been lost. Approximately 3.7 million have been lost. So we're not talking 19.6. We're talking 15.9 million around at the moment.
And that's the people that admit to them being lost, because I can tell you, I've lost some myself. And
I had a story last night.
I run around the world telling everybody I lost my Bitcoins. You know what I mean? It's not exactly something you want to go advertise to people. But in the early days,
Yeah, I had an amazing story last night at this Solana event where somebody was, he's actually an Ethereum staker. He's been into staking and mining and so on for many years. And he met somebody at some, I can't remember where it was, some motel or somewhere in America. And this guy he's talking to said, oh, yeah, I bought Bitcoin back in 2013. I put $25,000 into it. Yeah. So my friend I met last night worked out exactly what that meant in terms of how much it's worth. He said, do you realize that your investment, because he said, oh, I've forgotten all about it, but, I put it with my financial advisor, So he worked out what it's worth. And I think he said, if I remember rightly, somewhere around $2 billion or something ridiculous like that was this $25,000 that he put in 2013. He looked back what the price was then and just worked it out, $2 billion. So the guy immediately rang his financial advisor to find out about his Bitcoin holding, and there's no answer. He called this guy, and he had the number of the wife of the financial advisor. She'd also gone missing. So I don't know what happened to that $25,000 worth of Bitcoin, but the guy doesn't have them anymore, sadly. So there's,
there's a lot. I mean, of course, it's a lot like that. You know what I mean? I Ripple too. I had a ton of Ripple. The doggy coin, the Doge coin. Everyone. That was just a fun coin. You were like, that was the coin you gave everybody. It was like there was so much of it. It was worth nothing. It was just like dust. And looking back, it's hundreds of thousands of dollars that you gave people.
Doggy was the biggest gainer, wasn't it? Yesterday or the day before, the biggest gainer.
When that thing pumps, it pumps.
Yeah, bit of a sell-off in today. Let's just have a look. Yeah, bit of a sharp sell-off today, but it's pushing up again. We'll see. But that's actually a bit of a negative candlestick the day before. It was previous to that. It was the day before that it got the massive rise. But a bit of a negative candlestick because we had a big, a big shadow at the top of the candle. So yeah, Bitcoin's still around that 62. We could potentially get a final push above all-time highs, but I do think that short term that would probably be the limit. I think it could. Bitcoin has the potential to become that $1 million asset per Bitcoin. I'm saying this was all sounded like rubbish a matter of even months ago.
Right.
People were saying it. When you look at those supply and demand metrics, and the fact the halving is coming in April, and the fact that more and more institutions are buying into it, pushing the price up, there's just nobody wants to sell except at a higher price. And even then, people don't really want to sell. So it can only drive the price up when you've got this very, very limited supply and massive demand.
This is the Doge chart right here. That's the daily. Big push. That was Elon Musk. It had to be.
Amazing.
Yeah. You can just see just massive amounts of liquidity as well. That is one of the most liquid coins in the world for sure. Everybody loves it. Everyone should have some Doge coin, some Doge. Everyone should have some Doggy coin. Good stuff.
Yeah.
Well,
go ahead. No, I'm just going to say, I don't think you can go far wrong with Bitcoin at the moment. It's actually outperformed. I mean, we're always saying it's going to be alt season. When's it going to be alt season? But there's only a Bitcoin ETF right now, and that's what's channeling the money from institutions. So as we said right at the start of these shows, we've seen the retail phase of adoption, Bitcoin 0 to 69,000. Next comes the institutional phase from, we've fallen back in the bear market, but the institutional phase could take us to real record highs. And there's only a Bitcoin ETF at the moment. Maybe Ethereum will come soon, but right now, all of that money is going into Bitcoin.
It is true. It's one of those, we do always talk about alt season, and then Bitcoin just really, really shines. Now, that being said, I had a few friends that rolled their Bitcoin into Ethereum at around 300, and they're very happy.
Yeah, Ethereum. That's the thing with Bitcoin. You see, it actually rose in the many months coming up to the ETF approval. Quite possibly the same will happen with Ethereum. So Ethereum could actually grow to very, very substantially. So I do think Ethereum is actually a really good play at the moment compared with Bitcoin. So, and compared
we have here the Arbius team. I'm going to bring them on right as we come into the commercial here, but I want to bring them on and get situated here for a minute. Thank you so much, Matt. It's always a pleasure.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure. Have a great weekend, everybody, and I'll listen in.
Yeah. You'll like this one. You will like this one. Have a listen in. How are you, Mary?
Hello. I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Doing fantastic. Absolutely. Excited to
I
learn.
haven't met two people here. We've got David and Matt. Hello.
Okay.
Hi, Mary. Great to see you. Great to meet you. Looking forward to hearing about your project.
It's not just mine, obviously. There's a whole team of us. So I wish I could say that.
And David is my brother, and Matt and I have been working together for years now. Matter of fact.
Oh, okay, cool. And is it mainly the three of you every time you run the show?
We run the show, yes, the three of us, and then Matt comes on in the middle, and usually David and I will open and finish. So Matt usually will step out now or around now, depending on the show, and then and we're back on Monday. So we're just about to come out from our commercial break here. And then
Jay's on the line as well, by the way. If you guys haven't,
nice to meet you all. This is the first time we're talking. Met, nice to meet you all, David, Bruce, and Matt.
It is a real pleasure. There's some cool things about RBS, and I'll save a lot of it for once this commercial break comes off, which will be any second right now. But the fact that it's mineable, I think, is so cool. I think mining, proof of work mining, is such an important part of the ecosystem, and I know you guys just launched. Very limited supply. I also think is very interesting.
Yes.
Yeah, very interesting hearing you guys talk about Bitcoin earlier, because I remember when it was like, I think before 2017, when it was like everyone was like, yeah, it's not going to go to like 1,000. It was about $300. And then it went to like 20K, right? I believe in that particular cycle. And now 20K would be kind of like an insane, like the 20K is like the low point, right? And it's just like sort of exponential.
Everyone would be buying like crazy, right? I mean, everyone's looking like, well, there's going to be a black swan event, right? I mean, it's going to go back down, right? And which I do think, who knows? There's so much money in it right now that it is hard to say exactly what will happen. We are back. I want to welcome everyone back on Smart Money Culture TV. Thanks for joining us on your TVs in Texas and Louisiana. We have with us here RBS, the team of RBS. We have Jay and Mary Doyle, who have joined us. Just launched an amazing token and ecosystem. If we could lead off, I have a couple of questions that I put together here. And just to give you just off their website, it's a peer-to-peer machine learning. RBS is a decentralized network for machine learning and a token with a fixed supply like Bitcoin. New coins are generated with GPU power by participating in the network. There's no central authority to create new coins. RBS is a fully open source. Holders vote on-chain for protocol upgrades. Models operate as DAOs with custom rules for distributions and rewards, providing a way for model creators to earn income. So a couple of really interesting things here that, one is like the hashing algorithm and, all these types of things. But let me just go ahead and ask you guys to both introduce yourself first, and then I'll go into my first question.
Okay, I guess I can start. I'm Mary. I'm relatively new to the team. I guess I was sort of headhunted by Jay, obviously, and was sold on sort of like the core values of RBS. And we had pretty much aligned on that, working towards a better future than the current state of tech being like, semi-rigged and in favor of like powerful groups and things like that. So yeah, I mean, I'm fairly new and I'm still working through that. But yeah, Jay, you can go ahead and jump in. It's been
So I go a little bit back. I go all the way back to before 2017. So sort of going to Bitcoin, I think around 2014 or something. My first experience with Bitcoin was actually Mt. Gox. I did actually lose a little bit of money there. I mean, a lot of people did. I've seen a lot of cycles up and down. I used to be a TV producer a lifetime ago. And then basically I worked on Bitcoin Cash for a little bit as the main person for SLP the director of SLP Foundation, where I help put USDT onto Bitcoin Cash. I work with Bitcoin.com, bunch of other things. And then I sort of did a NFT game. That the first game you can basically play directly from your wallet on Telegram. And now I'm working on Arbius, and that's kind of like my history. Yeah. Oh, and I made the most popular token on Bitcoin Cash called Spice Token.
Nice. Well, Roger Veer is a friend of ours. We've known him for years. He is a funny guy. Back in the day, especially, we used to see him quite a bit. Not as much anymore. I don't think he travels so much. So tell me a little bit about the inspiration. What was the inspiration behind starting Arbius?
So I met the founder of Arbius, I guess now a lifetime ago. This was before the 2017 ICO craze. So this was like back in the Bitcoin block size debate sort of era. There was counterparty and colored coins. I mean, people don't really know that tokens existed before the Ethereum thing, right? And so we've all seen all the ups and downs of the industry. And interestingly, the founder used to actually work in machine learning and is extremely experienced software engineer and with deep passion for liberty. To the point where he could probably make a lot more. But idealism isn't cheap, right? So last year, he came to me with this revolutionary idea called Arbius. At first, I didn't really get it. But when I realized that this could be like the Bitcoin of AI, I'm like, yeah, count me in, basically. And the inspiration is that we're seeing a lot of what's happened to money happening to AI, in that it is becoming centrally controlled, like a central bank. Sort of similar to when Nixon, in the Nixon era, ended the Bretton Woods system, right? Basically removing the gold standard. And fiat, as you guys probably know very well, became slowly controlled by just a few people with deep connections, and the dilution and all that. And we realized that there is a deep case for making AI decentralized in a Bitcoin-like manner, so that the future of basically everything that happens isn't going to be controlled by just a few powerful interests, right? Who control the software companies, financial companies, media companies, and so on. That's basically the inspiration for Arbius, which also means Zeus in Greek mythology, who uses a thunderbolt, a metaphor for tech, to overthrow Cronus, which stands for the closed centralized system that takes, economic freedom and free speech from people.
Wow. Well, that is really cool. Great vision and story behind it. So, funding is always one of the most important things. I know you guys had a pre-sale, and of course, you're continuing with that low fixed supply. How did the pre-sale go for you guys?
Yeah, I'll take that one. We had our pre-sale a few months ago, and we actually didn't raise too much. We had this idea that great products don't have to blow through like millions and millions of dollars to sort of build. After all, Steve Jobs started Apple in his garage, right? There was nothing massively special about it at first, and then it boomed. It went pretty good. The way it works is, like you mentioned, we've used sort of like a Bitcoin-inspired tokenomics with a twist, which means that there is a maximum supply of 1 million AIUS. So that's what the token's called, AIUS, minted with a halving process similar to Begin, where the amount of coins mined goes down over time, eventually arriving at nothing. And then the AIUS coins become digitally sparse like Bitcoin. So that's the idea behind it. At the moment, we actually have 177 miners mining Arbius, which is really great, since we just launched a couple weeks ago. And we, just on that note, we've actually published our roadmap a couple days ago. And the 3 pillars are: 1, the AI decentralization; 2, AI with empathy; and 3, AI capitalism. And the next step sort of from here is that we're working on our next phase, where we partnered up with 2 other companies, and we're going to start.
Hold on one second. Jay,
Yes?
when you're not talking, can you mute? Because we're getting a little bit of feedback.
Me?
No, it's Jay. Go ahead.
Oh, right. Sorry.
But not, I still want you to talk, Jay. I just when you're not talking, just mute. If we could do that, it'd be much better. Go ahead.
I thought he'd know that by now after all the videos we've done or interviews. Come on, Jay. But yeah, so just to finish that off, I think our next phase, we've partnered up with Unicro and Alignment Labs, and we're going to start building the first AI anonymous agent marketplace. So yeah, that's sort of like the next phase. But yeah, I think to answer your question simply, the pre-sale went well.
Good. So then we have, AI, and you mentioned it a number of times. AI is such a hot topic. It's fulfilling massive growth in technology and changing the way that people live. From what I see here, there's some exciting uses of RBS to generate images, text, audio. I mean, this is like pretty sexy stuff. What can you tell us about that?
Yeah, sure. It is sexy. Yes, it very much is. Personally, I think 2024 is going to be massive for AI video. Beyond that, you're sort of looking at AI, very soon being able to do 3D and all sorts of like jobs that require human problem solving and also financial prediction. I think that the AIs that can understand problems and instructions like humans do and come up with a step-by-step plan on how to go about to solve that is definitely going to be an interesting, I guess, direction or future for us all, really.
Well, yeah, right. I mean, it's absolutely, it's changing everything, right? So when people are GPU mining on this this Kandinsky 2, I mean, I almost am embarrassed to say that I really didn't know much about it at all. But what exactly, I mean, is that like proof of work mining? I mean, I can remember back in the day, I used to think that proof of work mining was like really like solving things for people or whatnot. And then I figured out, okay, it's just solving in order to beat the other computers. What is going on? Can you talk to us a little bit about the proof of work system that you have?
Jay, do you want to take this?
Yeah. So obviously, proof of work has been pretty much for Bitcoin and other generation 1 coins, a battle-tested model that just simply works, right? But I really believe in that. Miners do work to secure the system, and so the price is just not made up money by inflation, but actually based on real costs people have spent. I guess in Bitcoin it's electricity, and in RBS it's basically AI compute. So RBS leverages GPU mining by making GPU miners compete for AI tasks and AI agents like Bitcoin. This allows for real market competition for AI compute, which actually drives the price down for the operation of these models. So for most models that are like not very, for example, image generation, for example, like Kandinsky, you basically don't get charged because it's just natural competition that drives the price down. And miners solve AI tasks just like Bitcoin solves puzzles to get the block reward. And I believe the sort of definition people are coming up with it's called useful proof of work, which is like proof of work that you actually have done something that someone else wants. And I guess that's the sort of different point from Bitcoin. That Bitcoin is a hashing algorithm, whilst RBS sort of compares hash of the solution being submitted, the task, and the task, whether that matches with the solution that's presented. And by that, and if it matches and the miner is the fastest and most competitive, basically they earn the block reward. So to answer the question about Kandinsky 2, it's basically just an image generation model that we're using to bootstrap the network with A100 chips. So as Marie mentioned, right now, I think there's about 177 miners all running these A100 chips. There are NVIDIA AI chips that basically is specialized in doing AI. And this is just a way of bootstrapping that AI compute. So we will in the coming weeks, there's a video model coming up and all sorts of things you can do, large language models, fine-tuned models, image modification, pipelines, and all this stuff. And so basically the Kandinsky thing is just like, you need to make it easier, right? Because if we started off with like, hey, 5 models, the miners kind of go, well, which one do I mine, right? So it's a way to just get the miners started. So the miners, we have a continuous happening schedule. So the miners, it's like the thing with the Bitcoin model. People that go in and start mining now, it's hard, it's technical, but it's like high risk, high reward, right? So it makes sense to just start off with one model instead of being like, hey, you can use like 5 different chips and there's 5 different things. So which one do I mine? And as the DAO comes online, basically the DAO will add more. Yeah, sorry. Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome. Well, I want to make sure that we get. So we have Arbius. I want to make sure while we're still on our live TV spot that we get Arbius.ai. How do people get involved? Where do they buy the token and the other plugs that you might want to put on here?
Yeah, I think just to note firstly that there's a lot of like people like scams and stuff and creating groups and everything. So just make sure if you do go on anything, please do go on Arbius.ai. All of our links to Twitter and Discord and everything else is at the bottom of the website. So make sure you go through that. And in terms of buying the AIUS tokens, you can jump on Uniswap, and that's UNISWAP. I only spell that because when someone says things, I can't ever spell it properly. So just for those that need that. But yeah, at the moment, like I mentioned earlier, we are fairly new. Like we've just launched a couple weeks ago, so we aren't listed on any exchanges at the moment. I think we wanted to focus on just launching and yeah. So just as a side note, in terms of I guess that's pretty much it. You can purchase it on Uniswap.
Okay, and then for us, with our streaming viewers, I wanted to just get a little bit more information on the staking feature as well, because you guys are both proof of work and staking, and of course that's so interesting for people in the crypto world. So can you talk a little bit about how that works?
Sure. So the staking isn't like staking in terms of, I think a lot of projects, they do staking and then they mint their token and inflate. It doesn't work like that on RBS. Basically, you stake liquidity on Uniswap, and you just basically stake the LP on something called Geyser. That's spelled GYSR. And we have a reward about 50 IS in total every day. That's distributed to people that provide liquidity, basically. And then if they provide liquidity, they take that LP and stake it on Geyser, then they'll earn extra rewards. In the future, we'll probably add AI pools and delegated mining, so it will be available to more less technical users that are not miners to make IS as well.
Amazing. And then the last thing I want to cover, because I know it's just going to be so interesting for everybody, then I'll let you go. But so when we talk about the uses of Arbius and generating these pictures and these AI pictures and everything like that, can you walk us through a little bit about how that works?
Yeah, so sure. Right now you can go on the generate page on Arbius and just try the Kandinsky model out, and you can just connect your wallet and basically generate an image. Down the line, you can basically look at the docs, and there's downstream application developers are building stuff. And we're gonna have a Telegram bot that can run all the models directly, and you can generate from the Telegram bot pretty easily without paying for anything. And we have Amica, which is our virtual assistant that has emotion, voice, and vision, and it's also 3D, and it's totally uncensored. You can do whatever you want with it. There's no limitations put there on it like ChatGPT or these other centralized things, and that will be hooked up to the Arbius ecosystem as function calling, so you'll be able to call those functions there. But right now, the generate page is the main way to try it out, basically. And we're so early that we haven't done the downstream apps yet, but those are going to come pretty soon.
Well, pretty awesome, guys. I think it's really cool. We're gonna be keeping an eye on things as well as they develop for you. I want to thank you guys so much for both coming on. Make sure to check out Arbius, Arbius.ai. David hooked us up with the nice banner there. Unleashing decentralized AI models by miners. I think it's really cool. I think this is the future of stuff, and you see these AI coins, they're just really taking off. So we look forward to circling back with you guys, having you on again, and best of luck. And we're going to be watching.
Yeah, thank you so much for having us.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Fantastic.
And thanks for joining. Okay, David, we're going to wrap up from here.
Sounds good. See you
We're
soon.
signing off. Cheers.
Your voice is powerful. When combined with social engagement, it's a force for change. Decentralized media paired with free speech is the catalyst for an empowered world and a unified, invaluable ecosystem. Join Global Boost, become a champion of free speech, and help to reshape the future of media.